So ladies, gentlemen, people of the DC Universe out there, Friday I uploaded a news roundup video. Statistically, more often than not, it seems to be the case that when I release a news video, and I really mean this, more times than not, news is dropped within the hour of me uploading that video. So on Friday, I released that video, and I already had people on Twitter saying, oh, does this mean news is going to drop in an hour from the Home of DCU page? And I just put that Pedro Pascal laughing, crying gif as like, oh, yeah, I mean, surely it won't happen this time. Guys, it happened again. We finally got Perry White cast in Superman Legacy. We're going to talk about that and so much more in today's video. I've got things to get into with regards to leaks about Superman Legacy, other little tidbits here and there with what James Gunn has teased about, maybe revealing some more about the upcoming DCU. Some other DCU Projects updates with regards to filming on top of Superman Legacy. Well, damn it, I said it again. Superman filming. Is anyone else struggling with that? Let's get into today's first story. My thoughts on Wendell Pierce cast as Perry White in James Gunn's Superman. The actor will lead the Daily Planet as Buster Clark Kent and Lois Lane. So what I will say here is that I've seen Wendell Pierce in Suits. I watched all of Suits back in the day. And then I saw him in Amazon's Jack Ryan with John Krasinski. And I really enjoyed him in that. So let me just say this. This is a fantastic casting. I totally see what they were doing there. If you've seen his roles, and obviously he's an actor, so he can play differently, ideally, right? We all like actors with range. But I do feel like they're tapping into, you know, some actors do kind of carry along the kind of demeanor and, you know, makeup of who they are into their roles. So I feel like this is one of those situations where they wanted Wendell Pierce for Wendell Pierce to be Perry White. And that's going to be fun. And I do think there's going to be a lot more Daily Planet, full-time reporter, Lois Lane and Clark Kent in this movie, in addition to Superman. I mean, after all, the movie is called Superman. I really do feel like they're making that an integral part of this story. I'm not saying 3/4 of the film scenes are going to be made up of that, but you won't be missing the Daily Planet when it comes to this movie. I'm very confident about that. And as a result, Perry White probably being a bit of a hard ass on Lois and Clark in this movie. And I really am so delighted by this casting. I know I keep saying it, but I'm really happy. I think Wendell Pierce is awesome. I can totally see the vision. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. All right, up next, we're now entering Superman leak territory. Initially starting off with a bit of light leak stuff. Light as in not too spoilery. And I will give you a spoiler warning. Don't worry, you don't have to skip right now. But this pertains to what I have mentioned before, like well over a week ago or so, with regards to that Reddit user who revealed that they knew what the suit logo looked like for Superman days before the actual table read name cards was leaked out there, if you will, by cast members such as Isabella Merced and whatnot. Our guesses were right there because a lot of us were just like, why else would you delete it? We know Isabella Merced's playing Hawkgirl. Oh, wait. There's a logo in the corner there. I wonder if that's the official logo, and lo and behold, it basically was. But the reason why I wanted to preface all of that is because this user, as it turns out, said something else with regards to the villain of Superman Legacy. So let's dive into that. This is where you can skip into the next chapter if you want to, but this is what I want to actually speak about initially before we talk about this villain. I know you might be like, shut up and just get to the villain thing. Please. No, trust me, I feel like it's important to talk about what I'm about to talk about because understandably, a few people were skeptical about this Reddit user, this leaker. You know, is this leaker legitimate? Because didn't they say that the symbol was smooth in that post and that it had cool panel lines? And then when Gunn revealed it, of course, it turned out to have that subtle texture over it, right? By the way, one thing I want to correct is that the account wasn't deleted. I got mistaken there. It turns out that they've just been deleting their comments. And they actually addressed the skepticism about their suit details in this comment, saying, no, he's right. I got the emblem wrong. My latest info was what I saw was final and going into production at a big FX shop. They're the people who did Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Something must have changed in the last few weeks, and that is possible. If an art book or behind the scenes footage comes out, maybe I'll be vindicated. I know I'm right about the Lex Troopers. That's another thing we've gone over. And I may comment on other stuff that I saw. Or maybe I'm messing with you all. Time will tell. Now, very quickly on that, to be fair, despite what the leaker said there, I think you can still interpret what the leaker was claiming to still have been in a position of knowing things. That's actually, believe it or not, what I am leaning on the side of. Because not only did he actually say days and days and days and days and days in advance that any of this stuff came out, even before the table read card logo thing came out, that it would be a red and yellow version of the Kingdom Come symbol, right? But his comments of, oh, it looks simple at a distance and it has cool panel lines, as you're seeing on screen right now, the very thing that people were getting skeptical over, it could be taken, as he said himself. The logo on the suit was seen from a distance, of which those textures that we actually now know what they look like as a part of the official reveal from Gunn, wouldn't nearly be as noticeable at a distance. I think we can all agree on that. For example, a lot of people think that Brandon Routh's Superman costume has no texture to it, but I've seen it in person, and it is a lot more than just spandexy, like plain pajama-esque material. It actually does have little details on it. So I do think there could be an argument to give a little bit of a benefit of the doubt there that it did appear smooth. And additionally, there are panel lines on it, and where they said there's cool panel lines on it, because there is yellow on the edge of the crest. Not only that, they actually uploaded a picture of what the logo would look like before it was revealed, posted on February 26th, so days before the 29th reveal. And I'm not gonna lie, if you wanted to say what it actually looked like without revealing the actual art or the crest, I feel like this is pretty much close enough, especially with the yellow on the outside of the symbol. And all while the shading and whatnot is subtly different, I'm not going to deny that, but it was meant to just be, hey, this is basically what it looks like, and I would still be like, okay. All while I can't confirm that this leaker is legit, I still find what they posted days and days before anything, official came out as piquing my interest. And I wanted to preface all of this because if I'm going to talk about the villain thing, I wanted to talk about plainly and frankly here what the situation and the history is behind this leaker. Now, with this one, it's more like the circumstantial evidence revealed early was pretty damn convincing, and it still, in my mind, remains close enough for it to be like, oh, damn. Now, final comments on their profile that are still up right now may give even more context here before we move on to the villain discussion that they also teased, of which is now a deleted comment. So, here we have them replying to a comment saying, I am not James Gunn, but I did meet him. Nice guy. The S I saw was final, but I guess they changed it in the last few weeks. Account is not deleted, but comments will be. I was going to comment on Green Lantern's suit, but now I'm scared they changed that too. Now, this isn't me blindly defending them. Things like that can be subject to change. You have multiple different concept arts, multiple different final things that you're choosing from. So even if you've arguably chosen the final look, of which they're saying it was a final version, James Gunn could have subtle other final looks of which he's like, no, actually, I want to go for version 3.4. I was choosing version 3.3, but now it's 3.4. And interestingly, they commented on a Reddit post with regards to the IATSE and Teamsters warning of another Hollywood strike. And I've talked about that before. It is something kind of low-key to be concerned about. But they've said, interestingly here, now this is just, nothing concrete, but it could give a bit more context. I feel incredibly fortunate my partner and I were in a position to leave the film industry. I know not many are, and I worry very much for their future. I think entertainment as we know it will be vastly different in 10 years due to AI, and these unions and strikes are too little and too late. So, obviously that's not firm evidence for anything, but it could give a little clue as to how they may know things that they know, especially if they both have some, or have had some kind of role in the film industry, but have since somewhat left it, but may have, I guess, some fingers dipped in a few pots that could put this user to be in a position of knowledge, or know people who could leak them details about Superman. So take this as you will, but I've put everything on the table for you. You can now make your own mind up. So the villain that they teased, now this is a deleted comment, they said, ask James about Mongol. Very interesting. I call that interesting for all kinds of reasons. I don't even know where to begin with this, because that could be the case. It might not be the case. I use Mongol as a potential big bad in my, I think I said like 8 potential big bads of the DCU Chapter 1, because I was going over, okay, maybe there's going to inevitably be like a Chapter 1 villain, a Chapter 2 villain. Who knows what's going on there? Big bads, think Thanos-esque, right? Something like what the MCU is doing that they're cooking up in the background. And Mongol was one of them because he is a very, very bloody, formidable villain that I wouldn't have necessarily put down to a single villain, one-punch movie resolved situation or threat, right? Now, I'm not saying that's exactly what would happen with Mongol here. And, we can't say that it is going to be Mongol because we can't really prove that this person really is right about what they're saying or claiming. But Mongol, man, I don't know. I know a lot of people are like, but I want it Brainiac. And who knows? It might not be Mongol. It could be Brainiac. What if the villain is a bit more nuanced than that? I've always been putting out my feelers like, I'm not saying Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor is going to be the main villain, but I feel like there's going to be this nuance in the movie where there's multiple contributing factors, and I think Luthor's going to be built up over multiple projects to be rising and building more and more disdain for Superman, especially as a result of whatever happens in this movie that could especially brush up against Lex the wrong way and make him even more angry. Maybe that's got something to do with the LexCorp Troopers, his Guardians of the City program that we've talked about recently, and how Superman's putting that to shame. I could talk about that stuff forever, and we're going to do that again in a DCU discussion series soon. But Mongol, with the little crumbs of stuff that we do have. We have Luthor, we have the Engineer, we know they're filming the Fortress of Solitude-esque location right now. That is intriguing. I went over that in Friday's video. Do check that out. But with Luthor in it, the Engineer, some kind of, perhaps Kingdom Come climate with anti-heroes and wannabe heroes out there being, I believe, maybe a social commentary on like, oh God, what is this world like? With heroes having existed for a long time and still existing, but things getting a bit out of hand. But then, how does Mongol, arriving to Earth, add into that equation? And again, I feel weird saying that because maybe it does, and how could I really know without knowing truly the breadcrumbs of the plot? Maybe he could be introduced, or maybe it could be a thing where he's on his way, but I don't know, man. But so I have seen somebody say, what if, right? What if you have this photo? Now, I can't remember who posted this for the life of me. Maybe I'm showing on screen with this user. I saw it pop up on my Twitter recommended, or algorithm popped up on my screen. But they showed that picture of Dave Bautista. I think, whether he was at Warner Brothers at the time, at James Gunn's, parking spot, of course he could have just taken a picture because hey, look, I saw James Gunn's parking spot, and, obviously I'm friends with James Gunn, have been in this movie, so I'm going to take a picture. It could just be that. But then he uploaded a picture of him reading a script. And I remember at the time, people were like, oh, what if Bautista could have some kind of role in Superman? And, we know that the Guardians cast is going to come back in one way or another. James Gunn has pretty much, said as much. And, I could actually imagine Bautista as Mongol. That, and he is a really good actor. And I know not only could he physically bring that character to fruition, but I do feel like Bautista will have his chance to not be just a memeing big Mongol, flexing with War World kind of situation. I think he would try and bring a lot of gravitas to it and whatnot. So I just wanted to flirt with that idea a little bit. I'm not saying that is the case, but what if? What if this is so under wraps that Gunn and Bautista think, they have no idea that Bautista's Mongol in the movie? But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Again, this might not be the case whatsoever. So I just wanted to put that out there. I will think about this a bit more. If you want to know my full thoughts on Mongol, I do recommend checking out this video that is popping up on screen, and where I entertain multiple different villains of the DCU who could be real candidates in this story. And it most likely might be one of them, because after all, I go over pretty damn popular to even, less thought about big bads as contenders. Because we're going to get one, you would assume. So who's it going to be? Maybe one of them. And I do go on about my thoughts with Mongol there. But my last word on this is, given how speculative this all is, given the skepticism on the leaker, despite my low-key support of, I still feel like they knew a little bit too much for it to be, even if they went off of Gunn's previous teasers of the Kingdom Come logo and whatnot, to put such conviction in, it's going to be red and yellow version of the Kingdom Come, this, that, and the other, is still quite a bet, if you know what I mean, which is why it's piqued my interest. The way I would look at this for now is, just bookmark it in your head, to the point of where if something more pops up, maybe even more legitimate, like undisputable proof, then it'll be like, oh, we know where we heard that first, and we'll talk about that then. But for now, just watch this space. Now, in related Superman news here, we have another little tidbit from Daniel RPK. Again, you guys know my thoughts about. Just gonna say it again. I feel like I have to say it every time. A leaker who's been known and even cited in the Hollywood Reporter like it came from him first, so has been right about things, but also has been wrong about things. It's usually the way things go. But this is something that I feel like is abundantly obvious. According to RPK, they've been filming scenes of David Corenswet in Norway, as we basically know, and Fortress of Solitude for Superman. So as I said, some people out there were like, but just because there's snow, how do you know it's the fortress? I'm like, come on, man. Like, I'm all about not getting too, making too many assumptions, but I do feel like that would be the fortress. Like, it would be. And what I'm more interested in, please check out Friday's video if you want my full ramble about this, is that Maria Riela de Frias, the engineer, is filming there as well. So it's Superman and the engineer. And I don't necessarily think, unless they're changing the origin for her, that she's going there to just get cured, because her origin about becoming the frickin' metallic engineer is, she did that to herself. She put nanites in herself. So I feel like it could be more of them starting off on the wrong foot with whatever really the plot is about with regards to the engineer. Maybe she's starting off believing that she needs to apprehend Superman on behalf of someone else, this, that, and the other. I've got a whole somewhat theory cooking about that, but again, you can never be too sure. But can't wait to see this because, the Fortress of Solitude, what my final word on this is, we already know that Superman is an active hero out there. James Gunn has said this a million times. For some reason, it was being reported out there again recently, but we already knew that it's not an origin story. He has been out there, but he recently reiterated he is an active hero. People have seen him flapping around with the cape, flying around the world. So the Fortress is already probably out there, and I would love, maybe towards the beginning of the movie, like, what if it just picks up with, the ball is rolling? Again, like the Batman. The Batman intro of Matt Reeves, I always use this as an example because it's great. It's hitting the ground running. He's in the suit. He's been doing it for a year and 6 months at this point. The Batcave's already a thing. He's already known in Gotham as Vengeance. You got criminals up there looking at the bat signal and then dropping the paint spray can and running away because they've heard stories. So, similar thing, picking up with maybe an intro scene. I'm not saying this is the case, but it could easily be the case with just Superman, with his arms crossed, looking at something in the fortress while he's doing whatever research or whatever. Could easily be an understandable thing that they start off with. It's just, why is the engineer there as well? Now, another thing that I want to talk about is a Threads response that came out quite a few days ago now that I haven't spoken about. That is super interesting. I'm actually going to go into a whole separate video about this. But we have this user saying, as David Zaslav said, you and Peter will announce more projects within a few months. So will you announce it in San Diego Comic-Con or via live video? And just to refresh you about what Zaslav said at the Warner Brothers Discovery quarterly earnings call, he said, I've had a glimpse into what James and Peter are doing, and it really does serve as an exciting indicator of where the new DC is headed under their leadership, and there'll be more you'll hear from them in the months ahead. We'll have James and Peter take you through in the next few months a full spectrum of what they see over the next 10 years. Now, I was initially writing that down to, hey, this is being said to investors. Sure, they might do that, but would the public learn about the full spectrum of the next 10 years? But with Gunn's response here saying, those are our only two choices, it makes me think, okay, maybe that could connect to what Zaslav said. So what I'm trying to say there is I still think the full spectrum could be reserved behind closed doors. But what's also exciting here is that we will be hearing more, maybe in the next several months, as what you would expect anyway, because this user says, will we be hearing more at San Diego Comic-Con or maybe a live video? And Gunn says, those are our only two choices, as if, okay, he's not denying it. Plus, I've got a screenshot of Gunn saying, okay, he won't be at this Comic-Con last year, but probably next. So, there is going to be stuff to talk about. Like, they're probably going to say, no matter what, some stuff about the DCU this year. Obviously, even though there's not too much going on with releases, they might show some Penguin stuff. They might show some Creature Commando stuff, maybe an episode or two even for those attending, that kind of thing. But it makes me interested where he says those are our only two choices. Now, you see me there saying, praying for the return of DC fandom. Now, I do admit, I don't think there's really enough going on right now to cook up a DC Fandom live event. Even if they condensed it down to like a 3-4 hour show, it's not like, you know, at DC Fandom in previous years, you had not only, you know, Andy Muschietti and Ezra Miller talking about the Flash, behind the scenes concept art there. You had other things going on for Aquaman 2. You had the Suicide Squad, all kinds of things like that. Now, you could argue they could do special things for like behind the scenes for the Penguin. You could see what's cooking up for Superman Legacy very subtly. You could show concept art there. You could do the same thing for Creature Commandos. If anything, show a lot more. But it's still, while there are things there, there's not a whole bunch to fill that with. But I'm still interested by what he means by those are our only 2 choices. I mean, obviously, San Diego Comic-Con, one of them. Maybe they might even bring out 2 of the stars, David Corenswet and Rachel Brosnahan. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, and again, I'll be addressing this in a separate video. What other choices are there, Gunn? Like, I'm trying to think. Other than DC Fandom, which kind of counts as a live video, but not really, it's pre-recorded, is like a Threads post. Like, that's another choice? Like, what is there other than a Comic-Con, like a convention? A live video / a YouTube video like DCU Chapter 1, I guess, Gods and Monsters on YouTube that he announced it through, or tweets and Threads posts. So I guess there are other choices, but yeah, very intrigued. Would love your ideas about this, but I wouldn't get your expectations too high, because all while he is kind of responding to that comment, referring to what Zaslav said, he didn't say that he's going to reveal everything about the full spectrum of the DCU over 10 years to the public. So yeah, I do want to expect subtle updates on what's happening this year and maybe shortly afterwards. I totally forgot to mention Joker 2 and other things like that. Maybe Batman, Cape Crusader and things. In other DCU news, we have another update here from Daniel RPK. And again, this is stuff that I feel like we basically knew would be coming. Peacemaker, Season 2 and Waller are reportedly to film this year. We had Danielle Brooks say that as well in an interview a while back. She plays Amanda Waller's daughter, and of course she's going to appear in the Waller show. Talks about how Gunn will be in post-production for Superman Legacy then. He's going to be a very, very busy man, on top of how busy he is anyway, directing Superman Legacy, on top of being the co-head of DC Studios. But also, will he direct some episodes? That is something we don't truly know. I think he'll maybe direct at least one, but don't forget, with Peacemaker Season 1, he did have 3 other directors directing 3 different episodes. So maybe this time, or while he's written all of it, he might, you know, kick it off with directing an episode, but he might get other people in, especially those people who directed 3 episodes, to see if they want to handle the rest of the season. So I do think that's a believable situation to unfold. And as for Waller, known as Peacemaker Season 1.5, I assume that will start filming beforehand, because again, I think it's meant to come out before Peacemaker Season 2. But I'm not going to lie, as much as I love Peacemaker and I'm intrigued about Waller, I can't stop thinking about Lanterns. Now, I assume Lanterns will start filming next year, but I'm looking forward to casting and stuff like that. But obviously, I'll keep you up to date on any more tidbit updates with regards to DCU projects starting to develop more and more and more. And just the last things I wanted to get into in today's video, guys, is some amazing concepts that have come out after the Superman, I was about to say Legacy again, official crest reveal. Job Hutz here has come out with a concept of the suit. This David Corenswet Superman suit looks amazing. Now, some people are a bit iffy about how high up that collar is, and I do get the argument there. I think this looks amazing. I even like that to an extent, but I think the argument is that Superman might wear a suit underneath his like Daily Planet shirt or something like that. You might have the classical unzipping or unbuttoning thing, right? And unless it's bloody nanotech, which I don't think many of us really want, that would be pretty high up, if it might be poking through the collar. So I don't know. I don't want to nitpick this. I think it looks amazing. The trunks look really, really cool here as well. He's got a version with just the belt, and I understand why people really want trunks, because it does break up the blue quite a bit more. I mean, I'm kind of more on the side of I would prefer no trunks. I still love both looks. Let me make that bloody clear, please. So I love the trunks here. Would prefer a belt, but I will admit on the belt version of this, it doesn't look like it's, broken up enough. But I just wanted to kind of showcase how amazing and detailed this look actually looks, And there's another user by the name of Manuel Bejarano. I probably butchered that name, but he came out with this kind of graphic intro for the Superman, I was about to say Legacy again, logo. And again, it's another perspective here that I'm showing you of what it looks like front on. But again, this is basically the logo that James Gunn revealed with all these cinematic different angles, and then it comes out on. It's it's kind of like a movie intro, right? It looks amazing. I know I'm rambling, but I'm so impressed by this. I know not everyone is on board with the logo, different strokes for different folks, but I love it. I've always loved the Kingdom Come logo. But that is absolutely everything I want to discuss today, guys. Again, as always, quite a rambling news roundup, but I want to hear your thoughts on everything we discussed in today's news roundup video. I can't wait to see your responses down in the comments below. I want to stress that I do read basically every comment. It's very easy for me to get my phone out, go on the YouTube Studio app, and scroll through them. I can't respond to every single one, but I do reply where I can, so can't wait to see what you have to say. Please leave this video a like, let YouTube know that you're enjoying the content. Hopefully it will help grow the channel a bit more. Of course, consider subscribing, turn the notifications on. That's always awesome as well. And I think that's everything. So I'm going to love you and leave you. Just thank you again for watching today's video. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you fellow Kryptonians in the next video. Goodbye.